Hello and welcome to the Trail and Adventure Motorbike Podcast with me, Clive Barber, and my good mate, Noel Tom. For the days when you can't ride your bike, there's always the Trail and Adventure Motorbike Podcast.
I think we ought to have sort of full disclosure here that we sort of know Ollie.
Yeah.
Sort of. Never actually met him.
And yet we really don't know him at all.
No, we've been in a WhatsApp group together for 18 months?
Something like that. There's the FOMO Festival, the Fear of Missing Out Festival. So Greg organised a little festival in his back garden.
Greg Fest.
Greg Fest, yeah, as nobody called it. And then I think about half the people that were invited turned up, but we still had a right laugh.
Gents, it's nice to meet you. I think it's weird that we don't know each other very well.
That is the bizarre thing, because a lot of people say when they do meet you, I feel like I know you because I've listened to the podcast or seen the films, and it's the same with you, really. There's over a million people out there in the world that know you from watching your films. So my first question was, is Ollie Moto your real name? We're fucking brilliant at this, aren't we?
Is that what we're going with?
Is
that the first question?
First question.
Brilliant. This is going to be a long one. Right. Okay. Yeah. Ollie, four-stroke moto. It says on my...
Is that hyphenated?
Yeah, it's. I'm very posh. Yeah, my mum was from four-stroke. No, funny enough, it's not. Ollie Moto is my motorcycle persona, one of many personas.
Did you adopt that very early on, or was that something that came later?
It came later, actually. It came after. I think we're going to be talking about bodge tape later. It came after bodge tape, when I had to branch out solo for various reasons that we can go into. I just needed a name, a social media name. And for some reason, I chose Ollie Moto. Well, not for some reason. I chose it because my name's Ollie, and Moto basically means motorcycle in any language. So.
Wow, genius. So, listen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am some guy that rides bikes and talks a lot of nonsense to cameras and then sticks videos on YouTube. I suppose that's me as far as motorbikes are concerned. What is your camera doing? It's going mad.
Is it?
It's doing a little like Dalek move. I liked it. But anyway, yeah, I'm some guy that rides bikes, makes movies, I suppose is the easiest way to answer that. And I'm also a guy who, I don't do it full time. I do it on the side. I'm also a guy that has a job, many jobs. I run a business. I've got a family. I just happen to like riding bikes and for some reason now make videos and stick them on the internet.
But it's a motorbike podcast. I don't know if you've heard of us before.
Yeah, once or twice. Yeah, you've mentioned it. Yeah,
a couple of times. So we'll go with a motorbike theme. What have you got in the garage at the moment?
What have I got? What way should we do this? Let's start small and go big. So I've got a Husqvarna FE 350.
That's quite new, isn't it?
It is, yeah, 2018. It's quite new to me.
It's new to you as well, yeah.
It is, yeah. I've had it. How long have I had that now? Probably only about a year. So I've got that one. I've got the newest bike to me, which is a CBR 600 RR.
That's
2004
the track bike. Is it pure track bike?
It's got a V5, but it's a race bike. It's an ex-Paget's Honda bike from the super stock in 2004.
Have you got knobblies on
it? No, I have not got knobblies on it.
I just assumed that's why you were so fucking slow with the videos you posted the other week.
Yeah, I've got no comeback. So I've got that bike. Let's move swiftly on. And then my only other bikes, I've only got three. My baby, the KTM 990 Adventure, known to the world as the Bat Bike.
I used to have one of them. Awesome bike.
Oh my God, what a bike.
I had to sell mine to pay for a stupid boy to go to school in a different town.
Do you resent that child every day?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good.
But he basically went to school to further his chances of being a professional sportsman, and he failed in that sport. So it was a waste of money.
You thought he was your lottery ticket, didn't you? So you bought a big fat lottery ticket.
Big fat fucking kid played rugby.
Selling your bike. and it's paid off in a way. Anyway, that's another story.
So this isn't your little legend that does the filming. Different kid.
No, it's the same one. So he's gone from the rugby thing to now doing the filming stuff. No, he's a great lad.
He's doing a great job at it as well.
He's had some amazing opportunities given to him, and he's taken them.
He's not a KTM 990 though, is he?
He's not a KTM. He owes me a KTM 990. I did actually replace it with a 1050 recently. So just 3 bikes. That's not bad.
Just 3, yeah, just 3. I'm always on the look for more. I actually want a little Sunday ride about, but I need to clear that with.
In the form of what kind of thing do you think you're missing?
I don't know. Just all my friends seem to be buying a lot of old school classics at the moment. Like Al's just bought a pretty cool little Triumph and stuff. I couldn't tell you what model, an old Triumph. Yeah. But I'm a big fan, and I don't know if your listeners are going to love or hate this, but of the old CTM Spitfire. I just think they're gorgeous. Yeah. I've never ridden them. Your face, Noel, says you don't like them, but I just like the look of them.
I don't like this design of bikes where the kind of the frame finishes just behind the single seat, and then you've got this wheel sticking out, sometimes with a little hugger on it. But I always think you are going to if you get caught out, you're going to get absolutely soaked.
You don't ride those bikes in the rain, though, do you? No,
wow.
It has to be. They just come out at 4 days in the summer in the UK, and that's it.
I was going to say it's not a nice design to my eye. Do you like the look of it? Obviously.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, sorry.
Ollie, you don't fancy going for something genuinely old?
Do you know, I'd love to, but I don't know a lot about old bikes. I'll be completely honest. So I'd just be buying it on looks, which isn't really the way to buy bikes.
Yeah,
but,
that is the way.
Well, maybe, but maybe one day. Maybe one day.
But I'm presuming you've got quite a bit of mechanical know-how.
Enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I self-taught? Can I say that? I suppose I'm a self-taught mechanic as far as bikes are concerned. I used to build planes.
Yeah.
So build might be a bit strong. I used to help assemble planes and do a bit of fabricating, but when I was a lot younger.
What's the biggest spanner you've got?
We ask everybody this.
If I'd known you were going to ask it, I would have went out and bought a big spanner just to be really cool. I actually think it's just like a 19 mil or something.
Okay.
Terrible.
You're not sort of stuck with one genre of motorcycling, are you? If you've got a track bike, you're obviously you go both ways. Let me put it
I swing both ways. So yeah. So that's what I do. No, so I actually started as a sports bike rider. I think like most young lads do. When I got my bike license as early as I could, and I had what did I have first? I had an SV650 which blew up, and then I swapped that for a ZX6, and I kept the ZX6 for a long time. And I used to have a track bike, so I was sort of in the road riding sports bike track scene for a while, and then went full adventure when I went to Morocco, and then I've been riding dirt for 5 years. But I noticed when I broke my shoulder that I was sat watching the Superbikes a lot and the MotoGP a lot on TV and absolutely craving to be back on the track. So yeah, I think you need to just ride any motorbike, really, don't you? You need to stay on 2 wheels. So I really enjoyed my track that I've just done. That was ace, and I plan to do a lot more, but I will definitely be staying on the dirt because it is a lot of fun.
And Clive, we've got to ask him the inevitable question about the off-road bike.
Go on.
Oh yeah. So
yeah,
I'm ready. Go on. Hit me.
You hurt your shoulder, didn't you? And you were out for about 6 months. So which bike were you on when you did that?
I was on my 990 when I did that.
So
why are you smiling?
The question is, why the fuck do you ride that massive motherfucker off road when you've got a 350 KTM in the garage as well?
Did you ride yours off road when you had it?
Not much. Yeah, it had knobbly tyres on and all protection, and I did some off-road riding on it, including some 2-up off-road riding as well with the current Mrs. Barber.
That doesn't answer your question.
Yeah, I suppose it does, really.
Mainly because it is, I love it. Riding big bikes off-road, any big bike, makes you feel like a bit of a hero because you're riding your big bike off-road. But those 990s, they just tear up the dirt, and I never get off that bike not smiling, even when I've just tumbled into a hedge. I still think it's fun. And actually, I bought it because when I went to Morocco that one time, I don't know if I ever mentioned it, made a series, I don't know if you've seen it once or twice. But Seats had a 990 at the time, and I had a Tiger 800. And I love my Tiger, but his 990 just made it made like the desert child's play. It was just bouncing around all over the place. And then when I got one, I much prefer, Clive, to answer your question, I much prefer riding my 990 off-road than I do that 350.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. I take it any day of the week.
So we've been making this podcast for like 3 years now, and it goes against the grain of everything we've said for the last 3 years.
I know you're a big fan, especially Adventure Spec, like big fan of light is right. I'm all for that as well. But my big bike off-road, for those of you who ride big bikes off-road, you'll know that it's just a lot of fun. And also I've got pretty good suspension on that 990, so it makes me feel like I know what I'm doing.
Well, what made you buy the small KTM then, the 350?
Just for a little bike to play on, because like for transporting it around and green laning here and there, you know, with your mates when they're far away, just throwing the little bike in the van and getting up there is great fun. And I've done a bit of like motocrossy stuff on it. And I love riding a little bike, don't get me wrong, but just if it's a choice between the two, I'd sell the 350 and keep the 990.
Yeah. No, I remember when I test rode a BMW 800 and it just felt fairly lifeless. And then I went and test rode the 990 and it's just like, I have to have this. It just felt absolutely remarkable. I think the 1050 I've got now is pretty similar in many ways. I mean, it's effectively the same engine, isn't it, really? But
they get a great rep. Those 1050s have a really good reputation.
I rode it for the first time in November to go and get it MOT'd, and it scared the shit out of me. It was fucking brilliant. I've just forgotten how... I've been on that 300 Honda for a few months now, and I got on that 1050. It's like, fucking hell, this is what I've been missing. Absolutely brilliant.
My 990 is a bit like that. It tries to... Mine's particularly aggressive. I think I need to sort the throttle out. So it tries to kill you all the time, and I think that's why I like it, because it keeps you on your toes a little bit.
It's funny, isn't it, how this is appealing, a bike that scares you slightly. It's funny, isn't it? But it kind of reminds you of, I always think it's the closest you can get to your first experience on a motorbike, and I think it takes you back to that initial hit you got when it was quite an untamed beast that you sat on. And that kind of disappears a bit, doesn't it, as you get better? But then if you can get a bike that is scary because of its power or just because of the way it handles, it's very appealing, isn't it?
No, you're absolutely right. I think when you're holding on for dear life, which is maybe an exaggeration, but you know what I mean, when you're working a bit harder. I like to be challenged as well. It makes you a better rider, doesn't it? So
let's talk about your films then, because you have a lovely catalogue of very professional looking, very professionally presented, beautifully edited, really TV quality, interesting films. I think you're one of my YouTube moto heroes, Ollie.
Oh, mate, that's too kind. You're making me blush.
You've got, 16,000 followers on YouTube. You've got your biggest film's got over a million views, and you're my favourite moto YouTube guy easily, better than anybody else we know.
It's all right, because I can't say his surname anyway. So
no, he doesn't know Spanish, so he can't say it either. It turns out after we visited Spain. You've got the Nepal film. You've got Full HD, which is a fantastic series of about 15 short films, and I really enjoyed that. You've got the Bodge Tape Adventures, and you've got the Rally Duck. You've got Hard LP. You've got Morocco. Just talk us through what's available on Ollie Moto's YouTube channel.
God, I think you've just listed most of them. So yeah, the big ones. So the first one's Morocco. So that was the first series I did.
Is that a bit shit? I've not watched that for a while because it was your first one. Yeah,
a bit shit. I wouldn't bother. So, do you know, for those listening, I wouldn't bother watching any of my rubbish, if I'm honest. Yeah, so Morocco is the first. Do you want me to elaborate on these or just skim through?
Yeah.
Elaborate. Yeah. So the Morocco, that's how I got into this film stuff. So I'm not, I suppose I am. Can I say I'm a filmmaker now? Yeah, I suppose I can. Yeah, so I never used to be before Morocco. I'd never put anything together, as in film-wise. And the lads invited me. So the Morocco trip, what basically happened was I was a sports bike rider. I worked with a good bunch of lads who are still my really good friends and were at the time. And they said, Ollie, we're going to Morocco. Do you fancy coming along? You'll need to buy an adventure bike. And being the sort of person I am, I went, yep, give me a week. I bought an adventure bike, sold my other bike. And then I just so happened, it was when, I'd say it was when I noticed the adventure scene taking off on like Instagram and stuff. So I said to the guys, should we film this? And they're like, yeah, if you want to, mate. They weren't that bothered. So I quite literally bought a GoPro, and they all had a GoPro. I had no media training. I didn't know how to edit. And we just went on an adventure and filmed it. And then I made that Morocco series, which there's loads of mistakes in that series. If I watch it back now, I cringe a bit. But at the time, I thought I was doing a really good job. You'll still enjoy it if you watch it, maybe. But I mean, from an editorial point of view, it wasn't great. But yeah, so I made that series. People seemed to really like it. And then it sort of got the bug. And that was honestly just filmed on a GoPro or a couple of GoPros. And then I learned a bit about editing. And then it all took off from there. So then we went, me and the boys, under the alias of Bodge Tape Adventures, we went and did a Hard LP, which for those of you who might not know what that is, it's a 24-hour, I suppose you can say, endurance event. They don't call it a race, but you've got a start line and a finish line. It takes 24 hours, and you've got to smash through Italy and get to the end. It's quite hard work, but it's really good fun. So we went and did that. Yeah, I've just made a few like ad hoc videos on the side, just where I'm out riding, being an idiot. What was next? I suppose Nepal was next that you mentioned, Clive. I'm talking too much here. There's a lot of nodding.
No,
it's a podcast. This is what we do. We talk on podcasts.
I'm supposed to talk. When I edit things really short. So if I waffle on for a bit, I'd normally cut this out of my own video. Like, yeah, you're talking rubbish now, mate. So then we did Full HD. So that was my mate Alad. He lives in America now, but he started this thing called Rally Duck. He's a rally rider. He's won a lot of championships, and he made this big community called Rally Duck. And he phoned me during lockdown. You know, a lot of people did stupid shit during lockdown. I'll come up with stupid ideas. Well, this was one of those ideas. I remember where I stood. I was in my garage working on a bike, actually. And he phoned me, mate, I've got this really shit idea. Do you want to make a rally bike out of a Harley and film it? Yeah, why not? So we got some really big sponsors on board. Well, he did most of the getting the sponsors on board. But like I suppose our biggest one was Fox Suspension. I mean, the Fox Suspension got on board, said, here, lads, have some suspension stuff, crack on. So yeah, we made a series about making the Harley bike, which was a love and hate thing for me because it was a lot of work and it didn't quite go to plan. But when I look back on it, very fond memories.
That was brilliant. It's I guess, are we actually going to see it race at some point? Was he taking it to America with him?
He hasn't at the moment. So actually, it's in the possession of Harley Davidson. So they've had it since he left. So actual Harley Davidson UK have got it. They're just showing it off around the country. Because although it doesn't quite run perfectly yet, it looks very, very sexy. So if you stick it on a stand, it look really nice there. So we definitely plan to race it. Alan's disappeared to America for the time being, so I don't know what's going on. I say I don't know what's going on. It makes it sound like we don't talk. We're still talking about what our plan is for us to go and do this. I mean, we will race it. I need to finish this. It has to happen. And then, yeah, we did the Nepal trip. We rode some motorbikes around Nepal. And I don't know why. I know you're going to ask me. I don't know why that took off, that series, so much. Because I know that one's had over 1 million views.
It's a very entertaining, it's a very watchable film. And there's lots of Nepal films, isn't there? But a lot of them you give up on after the usual sort of initial 5 minutes of nothing but constant headcam footage. But that one, as a benchmark, you know, my girlfriend, lady partner wife, loved it. And for her to sort of love a film and watch the whole thing is unusual. So it has broad appeal, I think, doesn't it, that film? And
that really makes me smile, mate, because I know that we love motorbikes, don't we? Us three and the people listening to this, we like bikes. Not everyone likes bikes. So I never thrust my movies upon my family and say, watch this, because I know they like bikes, mate. I'm not bothered. Shut up, go away. But that one was the only one where people's wives, I'm only telling this because you just mentioned it, people's wives were texting me saying, mate, that was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I still don't know why, because I filmed it like I film all my stuff. I know it took off in Nepal. So in Nepal, here's a little secret for you. In Nepal, all they do is binge watch YouTube. That's all, because they don't really watch TV. I know this through Nirmal, my Nepalese mate who's in the video. So I think maybe it hit the right algorithm and they binge watched a lot of stuff in Nepal. Yeah, that one got very popular.
So can you see the geographical, because we can get a geographical breakdown of, from what country and what city people are listening to our podcasting. Can you do that on YouTube as well?
Yeah, and a lot of it's Nepal and India for that particular video. UK and USA, I think, my other two. Yeah, that one went a bit crazy, didn't it? Which was weird. And I love that movie. I really like it. Not because it did really well. For the people listening who want to make money on YouTube, I haven't made a single penny for that one.
Really?
No, because I used normal music, you can't make money. So that's not why I love it. That's my point. But I just love it because, do you know what? With all of these movies, and you'll probably get it with this podcast stuff, Clive and Noel, it's the memories it brings. I'd forget half of my adventures, what we did, if I didn't make the video. I just forget about bits in them. When I watch Nepal back, I can think of all the cool things we did. That was ace.
Just watch the first draft of the Spain film that Greg's just been editing.
I'm excited to see this.
And it's just like, oh yeah, I remember that bit.
I watched the film and then went to my phone and deleted 700 photographs from my phone.
700?
Yeah. Because I don't need those photographs now. I've got the film, got great photographs. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's fantastic. And it frees my phone up. When I sort of recall when the go-to thing to remind Ashley about that film, I say, it's where the guy rides into the hotel sign. That's how she remembers it. Yeah.
Honestly, no, that bit when I was editing this. So again, I suppose we need to tell people what we're talking about here because we're on a podcast. There's a bit in the movie where it's on headcam footage and the lad in front, he loses the rear on a bit of mud and it just points him at a sign. And as we always say, motorcycling, you crash where you're looking. And he obviously was looking at this sign then. And if you imagine two big poles, he went in between them and basically just clapped this sign. And it makes the best. It makes like a comedy noise when he hits it. Honestly, when I was editing this, every time I saw it, I couldn't stop. And I was editing it. It was hilarious. Yeah, his name was John, that guy. Amazing bit of footage.
So that was a big trip, wasn't it?
It was huge. Yeah, it was. I think how long were we there? 3 weeks we did.
So you weren't riding all of it, were you? Were you there as a medic?
Yeah, I'm a paramedic, as you guys know, and I was employed, if you like, for that, although not paid, but freebie trip to go to basically be the team. It was a group of people and they needed a paramedic that could ride bikes. And one of them knew me, Seats. So he managed to get me involved. And then I think it was a month before we went, I broke my wrist. So, but then I was already on the ticket then, if that makes sense. So we ended up getting the driver. But yeah, I was there as a paramedic for the group. I rode for a bit of it because one of the guys hurt himself towards the end, and my wrist held up all right. So I managed to go for a spin towards the end. But yeah, we rode from Kathmandu, we went up into the Mustang Valley and went to the Muktanath Temple, which is like incredibly special if you've ever been around that part of the world. And then what a lot of people don't know about Nepal is you just imagine Buddhas and mountains, don't you? But actually Nepal is really tropical, especially down in obviously in the southern bits. So we ended up in the tropics and like saw elephants and rhinos and all that sort of stuff, and went all around the country. And actually breaking my wrist was probably one of the best things I've done in my life, for the fact that I met Nimal, my mate in the video. So if you've seen it, the driver, well, we're still like busy mates. And when I've just been out to Nepal, I spent loads of time with him again. So it was cool these things happen for a reason, don't they? So I ended up in a car with some guy that is now my brother from Nepal. So it was all good.
Was it a massive edit? Did he come back with days and days of footage?
7 months.
Gosh.
So, and you got to remember that was 7. That's what people don't realize, I think. And this isn't me bleating, but you know, making these podcasts, making these videos, the editing time is so long. And that video, bear in mind, it was lockdown as well. So I had nothing else to do. It took me 7 months.
Does any part of you enjoy the edit?
No, I mean, no, I do. If I'm getting it right, I can edit quite quickly now, especially like just if I was editing this now, us chatting, I can smash through it. But when you're putting things to music, it can take a while. So I do really enjoy it. I'm not going to lie. No, there's been many times when my laptop's nearly been slung out the window. You have to just persevere through. A lot of the time, if I stop, come back to it the next day, that's fine. But yeah, I enjoy it on the whole.
Yeah, and you've got quick at it.
Yeah. I've got really quick at it now, just from right at the beginning. You're just trying to learn the buttons, aren't you? You know what you want to happen, but you need to find the button to do it.
I've just done it a few times, and I've dreaded doing it each time. And then once I started doing it, I absolutely love doing it. Yeah. Once you start, it's just starting.
You get addicted, don't you? But then you lose sleep. It's not because you're stressed, but you're just thinking, I could do that on this bit. And you just lie. My missus is always like, just go to sleep, will you? Just stop thinking about that video. Sorry.
You've got one of the coolest jobs, though, in the world, haven't you?
Have I?
Yeah, you have. Go on, just tell us what you do. You don't have to say it's cool, but just tell everybody what you do.
I know you think it's cool, like you've told me before. I'm a helicopter paramedic. So on the Coast Guard helicopters, I think my official title is a winchman paramedic, which I explain to people. If you look at a red and white Coast Guard helicopter and there's some idiot dangling underneath on a piece of wire, I'm that idiot. That's my job.
See, everybody, that's fucking cool, isn't it?
It is a cool job. I'm very lucky to do it. It's a very enjoyable job.
It must be a very different job depending on the season. Yeah,
it is definitely. It depends on your base as well. So this is a motorbike podcast, I won't get into it too much, but I'm basically at a summer base, if you like, down on the south coast. So in the summer we're really busy, and in the winter not so much. But in the winter, if you go out on the job, it tends to be because the weather's bad and somebody's got into difficulties. So it can be challenging in the winter, and especially the guys and girls that work up in the mountains. Then I used to work in the mountains. It can be tricky up there, but it's lovely when the sun's out. When it's dark and stormy and horrible, maybe not so nice, but that's why they pay us, I suppose.
But it's all sea related.
Yeah, mostly. We can do a lot of overland stuff, but they'll tend to send an air ambulance, a helimed aircraft for that, because they can land and they've got more people on board. But we've got a winch. So yeah, if people were like, I've been to, what's a good example, like ferries, cruise liners that have got a sick person on board, they'll stick me on it and then I'll go and do my bit.
But you still find it exciting work?
Yeah, I would definitely. Yeah, it's a really cool job. I'm very lucky to do it. I mean, I work hard to get there, but that doesn't matter, does it? I'm still lucky to do it. So yeah.
So listen, tell us a bit about your gang. You've mentioned Seats already.
Yeah, those boys. So there's 3 of them. So there's Seats, Andy Seaton. There's Al or Hoosh or Hooish, Al Hoosh, the mighty Hoosh. And then there's Whitey, Rich White, who I didn't know his name was Rich for a long time, Whitey. Yeah, but they're really good mates of mine. We used to work together. I've known them for a long time. As you and your gang, the same sort of banter and knowledge of each other, so everything's easy. Those guys they're the reason I'm in the whole adventure bike scene, because of what I told you about going to Morocco. And I do a lot of stuff now under Ollie Moto, like we mentioned, because I had to branch out solo, and that was only because trying to get 4 people in the same place at the same time, as I've witnessed in the WhatsApp group, is a nightmare, isn't it? Because everyone's busy, we're all doing stuff. Yeah, those guys are great. Love them to bits. But we ride under the alias of Bodge Tape Adventures because things always go wrong, and Bodge Tape or gaffer tape or Black Nasty, as some people call it, but then Black Nasty Adventures had the wrong tone to it, so we went for Bodge Tape Adventures. Stuff goes wrong, but then we're the sort of people who just crack on and get on with it and don't whinge, and normally cover things as bodge tape to keep them together.
Cool. I've also been enjoying a couple of posts you've done about your neighbour Barney. What a legend!
It's so funny that you picked up on that. It's so funny. Yeah. But so Barney, he's gonna. I think I said to you earlier, he's gonna lose it when he hears he's on here in a good way. He's gonna be so excited. So he lives quite literally 4 doors up, just over there, and I think he's never really done any green laning before. He hasn't done the green laning before. I think he told me he'd done like one off-road day before, and he used to ride bikes on the road a long time ago. But essentially, if you walk past my house, you will always see me working on a bike or revving a bike outside or doing something to do with bikes. And he just got fed up of it. He's like, I'm fed up of seeing you on your bikes. I want in. So he went out, smashed $5,000 on a brand new CRF 300L, and he's getting into it. But do you know what, mate? He's excellent. Honestly, like I took him laning on our first ever green laning session, and it was just after that massive storm hit in February, whatever it's called, storm, what's its face. And I've got a route. It's about a 20k route, and there's some tricky bits on it, like tricky-ish, but then most of it's quite tame. And I thought that'd be great. We'll go for a spin. He can get the hang of it. We'll end up with the hard bits, so he can test himself a bit. Because you don't want to put these people off, do you? And although, as we know, you will end up falling off your bikes all the time in the dirt. When you've got a brand new one, you don't want that to happen straight away, do you? We went laning, and it was after the storm, and I hadn't done a recce on these routes. We just went out. We honestly got 5 minutes in, and he was lying his bike under a tree to drag it through. And then we got to the next lane, and we had to turn around because there was a tree in the way. They went up a different lane. It took us an hour to do about a kilometre because we had to fight through some bracken. And then we got stuck at a tree and had to turn around. So all in all, we rode for about 2.5 hours, and we did about 15k, and he came out buzzing, absolutely buzzing. He was like, that's the best thing ever. So, I mean, if he's happy after that, then fine. But yeah, so we plan to at least try and go out like once a week because, like I said, he's quite literally next door. So we can sling the bikes in my van, get up the road. But yeah, it's so cool. It brings the joy back though, lads. And when you see these people learning again, it, like you said earlier, Noah, it brings back that memories of when you were learning. So it's really cool.
We have to bring him to Wales to the next FOMO.
He keeps going on about it, mate, about coming to Wales. And I keep saying to him, not that I'm his dad, but I keep saying, let's just get you like
one step at a time.
Yeah, let's just get you
baby steps.
We'll take your stabilizers off, and then we'll see how you go
before we go to the hellhole that can be Wales sometimes. Yeah.
And it will be quite tricky around there. I think where we're going.
Happy Valley has never been happy for me.
We got our first bit of negative feedback on the podcast on social media, and it was very, very mild.
Go on.
And I noticed you got some, because you reviewed some kit that somebody gave you for free. How fucking dare you get stuff for free and say it's good? You fucking liar.
We're not going to mention that guy's name. He shouldn't get any credit.
No, well,
this guy.
So so basically, we did the Austin Vince podcast, and the guy's a fucking legend. He's totally entertaining, great, really excited about it. And I've sort of posted about it, now available podcast at Austin Vince, and somebody just wrote yawn. And I was fucking furious.
Oh, come on.
No, it's pathetic, wasn't it? It's just like, so my take was basically, I'm not fucking having that. I do this for fun. I don't earn. In fact, not only do I not earn money from it, it costs me a fucking fortune to do this. It takes time. I spend about 10 hours a week doing it. I'm not fucking having it. So basically, I just fucking deleted it and fucked him off and blocked him from the site. Cunt.
Amazing.
So anyway, anybody else listen to the podcast, if you ever see any negative stuff like that, fucking wade in on the wankers until I get there and block the cunts.
Clive, if I accidentally yawn on this podcast, are you going to just kick me out?
It's a possibility, yes.
He's gone. I was going to answer, but you just went off on a rant. So
does it affect you as badly as it affects Clive?
Yeah, no. Do you know what, mate? I don't actually get too much. And I don't mean that from like I suppose it could sound a bit arrogant, that, and I'm not an arrogant person, but I think it's because in my videos, I just show myself being an idiot. There isn't really any banter. You can't go anywhere from that, can you? You can't say you're an idiot. I know, mate. That's why I put the video. You fell off your bike. I know, mate. I put it in the video. But I don't get too much. That particular one you're on about, I didn't care about that one because that guy's known for just being poisonous. Because some people need to just do something else for their lives and stop ranting on social media. But I did get weirdly though. I did a reel on Instagram. I thought I'd try out some reel stuff. Everyone's doing these reels, and probably sound like a Luddite there, but for some reason it took off. I don't know why. I don't know if you saw it. I made a quick reel about me making how to fit some motorcycle grips. Do you see that one?
Yes, yeah. I did see that. Yeah.
And that generally, I was, Mav, HP2 Mav. Yeah. Of course, Mav is in that group. Yeah. We were supposed to be going riding, and I went into my garage on the evening before and went, shit, I haven't fitted those grips. So very quickly slung some grips on and just thought I'll film it for some content. Anyway, I made this reel. For some reason now it's up at like 300,000 views. I don't know why, because honestly, I think it's shit. It's a bit, but anyway, there's so much hate on there because I didn't use grip glue. I used some hairspray and I used lock wire on my grips, which I've always done and I'm always going to do. So I don't care if you don't like it. It's how I've always done grips. I know a lot of people do stuff like that in all different worlds to do with motorbikes. Anyway, the amount of hate I'm getting on that still, even today, my phone's going off. But I just find it funny, honestly, because what does it matter? Why are you taking the time to write, you're using lock wire, you're a bloody idiot. All right, fine. Don't use lock wire if you don't want it, mate. I know loads of people do. So I don't really care. It does. I've seen some real horrible stuff put on social media for other people's bits and bobs, a lot worse than your. But I just ignore it, mate. I don't even. If you meet me face to face and gob off at me, then I'll give it back both barrels. Don't you worry. But on the internet, I just can't be bothered. You got to put it in context. I mean, these people are sat. In fact, this puts it for you. Someone on that real one on the grips, they said, why are you using lock wire? You shouldn't be using lock wire. And I just put back a response like, I just know loads of people that do. And actually, I find that holds the grip on better. And they went, sorry, I never even fitted the grip before. I just saw everyone else was saying this, so I thought I'd join in. That was generally what they said. So that puts it in context. Just people are just.
What's wrong with lock wire?
I don't even care, Clive. Like, if you don't want to use it, fine. Yeah,
have you got the special little pliers then?
Yeah, lock wire pliers.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Use it. Yeah. Lock wire's great. I mean, like when I used to build aircraft, you used to lock wire everything. You had to. Yeah. So.
What sort of riding do you do mainly these days? Presumably, you're not jetting off on international trips every other week.
No, I'd love to be. Normally just green laning, like I know you gents do. I do find that I've fallen out of love with road riding, like to the point I find it boring. I use it as a means to get to either a cafe that I'm going to, Cafe in a Machine, one of my favourites at the moment, or to get to a green lane.
Is that because you're just riding on familiar roads, do you think? Like I would never, I'll come back from a trip and never ride at home. I just find it really difficult to ride on the roads I'm familiar with. But get me into the mountains of somewhere I've never been and I love it.
Well, we had that remarkable afternoon in Spain, didn't we, when it was half the day was on a trail and then the second half of the day, unbeknownst to us, was pretty much all road riding. And we were going through that valley up and down the mountains and it was absolutely glorious road riding, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, so when was the last time you rode a road bike somewhere new?
I suppose you've just reset me a bit. So, sorry, when you said the sort of riding you do, I was thinking day-to-day riding, road riders board. Yeah, last time I rode somewhere new. Well, I've just got back from that Morocco trip in February with Wheels of Morocco. So although I've been to Morocco before, we rode some new bits and there were some wicked roads there, naturally, in fairness. But I still find that I crave the dirt now if I'm on the road. And I've got a track bike again, so I like being on tarmac and getting my knee down and all that stuff. But just on the road, even a nice twisty mountain road, I'm always, if I see a trail out the corner of my eye, that's where my interest goes, which is bad because I nearly crashed looking at the trail instead. But I don't know why. Maybe it will drift back and I'll end up enjoying road more. But at the moment, I just find I have the most fun off road. And I think, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, I like being challenged. I like trying to better myself. And I'm always on the back foot on the dirt. So I don't know. I'm always looking for that challenge. That looks a bit hard, that trail. Let's go give that a go.
So what's been the best trip you've ever done?
Morocco. I didn't even have to think. Morocco. Nepal was incredibly special, but for the best trip, Morocco. And I think it's because it was, for all those reasons of adventure, it was the first one I did. I was with my best mates. We had an absolute laugh. We ended up riding up rivers and getting lost and drilling out fuel tanks and all sorts of stuff. It was carnage. And actually, I saw Seeks about 2 weeks ago, and I was chatting to Seeks about it. And I said, I actually feel bad that at the time I didn't appreciate how special the trip was. Because you're just on a trip. Yeah, this is cool. So we're having loads of fun, but we're on a trip. And now we can't even get four of us together to go and ride for a weekend in Wales. It was one hell of a trip. Loved it. I love the place. Sorry.
Well, no one tells you this as a kid. I think as a kid, I remember thinking it'd be great when I get older. All my friends will be able to meet friends. Friends will have to ask for lists from their parents or permission to go, meet somewhere on a Saturday. You'd be an adult and you'd be able to meet up whenever you like. Yeah. No one tells you it's going to be absolutely impossible.
I could eat what I want for my dinner and see my friends when I want. Thanks. Yeah.
It's still a shock to me that it's so blooming difficult to get adults together.
It's hard. Everyone's paying off their mortgage, aren't they? That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Everyone's busy and got families and stuff. I think we're all guilty of not appreciating. That's wrong, but getting a bit blasé about the cool stuff that we do. I think because you guys have just been on an amazing trip. I was watching from the sideline.
But even on a trip, you do have to keep reminding yourself, don't you? Like you're just saying then that this is a really special time, and no matter what happens, you've really got to relish every second of it, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. You got to make the most of it, and then that goes all the way back to what we were saying about filmmaking, because then you have that memory that keeps that with you, doesn't it? And so you can just watch it whenever you want.
Yeah.
When it's raining outside at home, you can stick on your trip to Spain that you've just done and go, do you remember when we did this? That was cool.
Right, I'm going to move into the either or questions now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Do you know what? I was looking forward to this podcast, apart from this bit, because I'm rubbish at this.
You haven't seen these? No, these are dead simple. These are. It's like it's one thing or the other, isn't it? It's like yes or a no. It's dead simple.
I don't know. Is it? I don't know what's coming.
We'll see. Possibly not. Okay, UK trail riding: large motorcycle or small motorcycle?
Come on, you got the answer to that one.
Fuck's
go big.
Sake. No, don't.
Go big or go home.
Don't.
Sorry, for the podcast, do you want to edit this in that I say light? Is that what you want?
No, that's fine. You can be wrong. That's okay. Right. GoPro or 35mm?
GoPro.
Interesting, especially the new one. People are loving it, aren't they, with the stabilisation?
Are we talking about filming on this? Or can I jump in now?
Yeah. No, we'll come on to that. Yeah,
that's cool.
This is this is like a little palate cleanser.
Oh, you're just throwing it in there. I like it. It's nice. Keep people on their toes. Yeah.
Okay, fixed or rotary?
Rotary.
Thought you might say that. Okay, seats or whitey or owl?
That is unfair. That is unfair. None of them. I don't like any of them.
Another one with 3 options: Tet, Tat, or Morocco. I think we know that one, don't we, as well now?
Yeah, Morocco.
Okay. Right, here's another tricky one. 2 weeks in the sun with your family, or 1 week's moto adventure.
Son of a bitch.
Or 1 week's
son of a bitch.
moto adventure with your mates.
Is my wife going to listen to this? Probably not. I love my family, but come on, it's got to be.
That wasn't even a proper question, was it? Really, it's obvious.
She won't listen. It's fine.
Yeah. Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee. I used to be a tea man, but coffee now. Coffee nowadays.
Beer or whiskey?
Oh, whiskey.
Hard or soft panniers?
Soft. Every time.
I think you've done very well. That was all of them. Excellent.
I've done well. Was that a test?
Yeah, you've passed.
Okay.
Apart from the large motorcycle thing.
So filming, so back to cameras. Do you film everything on GoPros?
No. So if we're going to do a bit about what I advise people, I will always say have a GoPro, but no, I don't. So it's the easiest way to do it, isn't it? Just carrying a GoPro. And they are amazing bits of kit, but no, I've got what I call a posh camera. Is it here? It's somewhere in this room. It's probably under the bed. I've got a posh camera. It's what I call a posh camera. It's a mirrorless G95 Lumix Panasonic thing, which isn't the poshest camera you can get. There's much more expensive ones, but for those of you who know your cameras, mirrorless ones stay nice and compact, which is what you want for biking. And it's really good for filming. It's not the best for photos, but it's body stabilized, lens stabilized, and it makes a huge difference. When I'm filming, it makes a huge difference for depth of field, etc., etc. Yeah. So if I'm doing posh filming, I'll take that with me. But if I'm just going for a spin with Barney, say, because you just mentioned Barney, I'll just take a GoPro. That'll be it.
And it's what? It's a Lumix G95.
G95, yeah. I'm going to upgrade it. So when the GH6 comes out for you Lumix Panasonic dudes, or Canon dudes, whatever you want to call it, then I'll be grabbing one of those just for the 4K stuff. But yeah. Do you know what? The reason I got a posh camera is because of Greg, our mutual friend Greg. I never used to really have one. And then that son of a bitch, in a nice way, Greg, kept putting loads of really cool slow-mo shots up with really good depth of fields in them and all that good terminology. And I was like, right, I need in. And I actually messaged him and he told me his kit list. He was using a GH5 at the time, but I didn't want a GH5 because it's too big. I wanted something tiny. So I thought,
too big.
Yeah.
he got Adam to carry the GH5 around the whole of Spain. He never used it once. Unbelievable.
Is that why Adam kicked him off his bike? Is it that?
Took up the whole tank bag, never came out.
I didn't know he still had it. I thought he'd got rid of it.
Yeah.
So about some top tips for wannabe moto filmmakers, because the thing that always gets me and everybody else is just point of view head cam footage hour after hour after hour. So I'll look at a film and there'll be the first 3 minutes of just head cam footage and I'll just switch it off. I don't go any further on it. It's got to be one of the worst things, isn't it?
So I was thinking about this because I thought you might ask something like it. I get sent a lot of videos. Ollie, watch this, because people watch your videos and then I'll watch this. And I'm always polite, but that's one thing that drives me nuts is just head cam footage. I suppose I could talk lots about this. If you want to, we can. But the biggest tip would be that I've learned and that I get feedback for, positive feedback, is you need to remember that the viewer can only experience your adventure through what they can see on their screen. So if you've done, which leads to what you're saying, so if you've just ridden a wicked trail or a really cool road and your memories of it are amazing, I was full of endorphins, that was incredible, but the footage is shit and boring, don't use the footage, because that's all people can see is that footage. And you've got to chop things around. So that long clip, unless your video is called "This is a lap of the ABR festival," like I did, so it's one long clip of the lap of the ABR festival, my clips will never be more than 10 seconds long, 15 seconds long. Keep the viewer on their toes, keep it short. But my biggest tip to sort of answer that in a succinct way is just remember that the viewer can only view what they're viewing. They weren't there, so they need to enjoy what they can see.
And when you're, well, I was going to say, when you're filming, then are you trying to sort of almost, well, not self-edit, that's the wrong way of putting it, but are you trying to not go home with excess footage, or do you sort of take a wide sweep of everything?
I film everything. So the actually filming adventures is probably some of the hardest filming you'll do. So I am a self-taught filmmaker, but I do professional film work now through teaching myself. And professional stuff's easy because you know what you want to film and you set it all up. Adventures, you have to film everything because you don't know what's going to happen. So I just film everything. But there might be, you can edit in your head a bit. So Austin Vince, you mentioned Austin, he helped me a lot in my early days. And he always used to talk about a thing called sequencing. Let's say you arrive at a petrol station and you filmed a bit of you filling up your tank. I don't know. That's the example he used for me. We need to make that sequence. So people need to know you've arrived. They need to know you're leaving. There might be times, go back to that. So you might film, do an external shot of some bikes arriving, then a head cam shot filling your bike, then an external shot of the bikes leaving. So you've made a little sequence. So when I'm filming, although I film everything, no, because I have to, you know yourself, you've done adventures, you need to capture all the funny moments. You don't know when they're going to happen. There might be times though when I think, right, now I need to film this little bit here to make that sequence work for the viewer because they won't know what's just happened. Or a cheating way of doing that for people that listen that want to make videos is just a voiceover. Voiceover can get you out of all the shit because you can just voiceover and say what you want then and paint the story through some words. But ideally catch it on camera because it's more entertaining for people, isn't it? I'm enjoying this, Jed, so I don't want this to end. This is a right good gob off.
We were on for nearly 2 hours with the lightweight adventurers, weren't we? The two Honda CRF guys.
Yeah,
I listened to that one. They're really good at talking though, aren't they? They were
very, very good. They're really nice guys as well. Yeah, they're organising a little festival thing as well.
Are they?
In the Peaks in August? Yeah, I'm probably going to go along to that.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. I was always keen in organising some sort of event, not to embellish my own anything, but just for getting people together to go riding. But
yeah, exactly.
If people are doing it for me, I'll just turn up. It'd be easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I'll forward the invite to you. Do you have any bits of kit that you're very happy with that you particularly enjoy?
Film kit or bike kit?
Either.
Right, let's do it quickly then. Film kit. Get yourself, and I'm not sponsored by these people, get yourself a Dango gripper mount and a GoPro. Bam. That's your filming career sorted. Obviously, you need a laptop and some editing software. But for the filming bit of it, those Dango gripper mounts, if people don't know what those are, it's like this spring mount that clips onto your helmet and your GoPro attaches to it. But it means that, let's say you want to take your GoPro off your helmet and clip it to a tree quickly, you just unclip it in a matter of seconds and ping that onto a tree. That changed my filming career. No longer did I have to unscrew a GoPro and screw it somewhere else. I just clipped it off and put it onto someone else's bike or onto their bag or anywhere. Bang. So that was sorted out. Dango gripper mount.
It's the thing that's like a giant clothes peg, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Like, I think they'd be annoyed if you called it that. But yeah, that's
very expensive giant clothes peg.
It is, but it will change your life when it comes to filming.
There was at least 3 of them in Spain, wasn't there, with us?
Yeah. I've got about 5 in my garage. I love them. They're really good bits of kit. So anyway, that's filming. Bike kit. Ooh, I'm going to be boring here because I'm a paramedic. But actually, I've got some Leat 3DF body armor. Amazing body armor. Love it. If you're going to do green laning, trail riding, you're going to fall off. It's going to happen. You want some decent body armor. I used to have, if you buy cheap body armor, which is how we all start, that's how I started because kit's expensive. I'm trying to gesticulate in my hands here, but if you've got 2 breastplates, haven't you, and there's a gap in the middle where the zip goes, yeah, that's bad because I fell onto a handlebar and cracked a rib in that exact spot. So now I always ride, the Leat one's got a full chest plate. Everybody I know wears that body armor, and I know you're always led by what your friends are wearing, but even people I don't know, I bump into them in the same scene, that body armor. So that's what I'd say for that, and a decent set of boots, Tech 10s, amazing boots. And then what was the last one? I can't remember, I've waffled now. What were you saying?
Biking, really?
Going on adventure. No, you said going on adventure.
Yeah.
I always say to people, going on adventure, so that especially when I'm doing it with bodge tape, don't overplan. If you're that person that plans your adventure to the hour, you'll just have a shit time because you're just going to be chasing schedules. Whereas the best thing I find on adventures is the interactions with people, as in other people that you meet. And when stuff goes wrong, just going with the flow and go, all right, we won't go there tonight, we'll just end up here. So what I tend to do is, and Seats does a lot of our planning if I go away as a group, we'll have a ferry booked, obviously, to get out of the country. We'll have a rough destination and maybe a couple of hard stops, like if we're stopping at people's houses, we know, etc. But then a rough idea of a route. We won't book our hotel for the night until the day, and normally about lunchtime, so we know where we're going to end up, and just go with the flow. And then if someone says, oh, you meet some foreigner, oh, do you want to come for dinner at my house? Yeah, go for it, because you'll probably have a great time, or you'll get murdered, but you'll probably have a great time.
Well, if you've still got your body armor on, it might save you from the murdering.
Do you wear braces at all, or do you just wear armor?
Knee braces.
Yeah.
I've got a set of Pod K4s in my garage that cost me millions of dollars that I've not worn yet, that I need to wear. And I am going to, I've got a lot of friends who wear them and they've saved their knees. So I reckon it's the way to go, isn't it? But they're not cheap, are they? I think mine cost me 450 quid or something. It's a stupid amount of money to be sat in my garage. But
are you going to tell us why you don't wear armor, Noel? Because you never fall off. Did you see the video of Noel falling off? It was almost fucking graceful.
It was so sweet, wasn't it? It was like, just like you went, I'm just going to have a little lie down here. Like,
hardly dramatic enough to even go in the film, but of course it did go in the film.
Well, it's the highlight of the film for everybody.
The biggest falls I've had, like the fastest ones I've just got up from, it's always the really slow ones that I damaged myself on. So like my shoulder, I was going like 4 miles an hour. But I've had some flat out fourth gear tumbles into hedges and just thought it was funny and carried on. So,
and as a medic, what's the worst thing you've had to deal with?
Oh, do we want to do this? I hate these things. I hate these things in magazines. And oh god, no.
Have you had to deal with terrible stuff on a
trip
that you've been on?
On a trip. I sorry, I thought you meant in day-to-day work.
No, Christ, no.
On a trip. Do you know what? Whenever I've been on a trip, I've always come across an accident. There's always been something I've had to do. I think that's how medicine works. It just cloud follows you around. But I suppose the Morocco trip, we didn't really catch it on camera. I can't remember what episode it is, but we came around a corner, and for those of you who travel to these sort of places, health and safety and road standards are completely different. So there was a truck on a mountain road. And if you imagine it's an open top truck and there's like 14 people in the top of it. And this truck had gone a bit quick around the corners because they just drive like idiots, and overturned. And this is like a proper mountain road, and slung 14 people down the mountain. And we came around the corner. I had to deal with the aftermath of that. I mean, luckily, nobody was that bad, if I'm honest. They all were all right. And I didn't have a lot of kicks. I was on a bike. And then you're in the conundrum of, do I give them my kit? And then what if I fall off? You've got to play God a little bit, haven't you? But no, they're all right. So that's the worst thing I've come across. But every trip I've been on now, genuinely, every trip, I've had to do some sort of medicine to somebody.
Gosh.
It's a risky thing we do here, but I'm never going to stop because it's too much fun.
So that was Ollie Moto. I urge you to go and watch his films on YouTube if you haven't already. They are really good. Very, very high standard. I hope it came across in the podcast, but he's got a big personality, lovely bloke, and he's an absolute natural in front of the camera. Very, very entertaining. I'm really looking forward to meeting him in person and actually getting to ride with him at some point. So just to let you know that the podcast is going to be at the ABR Festival in a kind of an unofficial capacity. We're going to be doing some recording and filming with the TRF and also organising a bit of a podcast get-together on the Friday night. and I'll send more details when we've got them. And it'd be fantastic if as many of you as possible came along and said hello. We'll probably do a bit of a podcast recording there as well, so you get to be on the podcast as well, and maybe even drink a couple of beers. Who knows? So let me know if you're going to be there. It'd be great to meet up. Right, that's it for now. I'm going to see you next time. Oh, yeah, we're recording again next week. It's going to be another absolute cracker. See you then. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate your support. Don't forget you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you really appreciate what we do, you could consider supporting us on Patreon or buy us a coffee. Links are available on our website, which is tampodcast.com, tampodcast.com, where we also have a limited selection of branded stuff. But either way, please keep listening and spreading the word. See you next time.